What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So we recently had the newest Deadpool and Wolverine movie come out in theaters, and that completes a trilogy for Deadpool. So I thought it'd be a fun idea to go through some trilogies of movies and be able to rank them. And the way I'm going to be ranking them is going to be in a tier list form, of course, with S tier, A tier, B tier, D tier, and F tier. So I'm going to be naming off some movie trilogies, going down a list that I made of movie trilogies that I've seen, and just basically ranking them into these different tiers based on how I feel about them and how they are. Let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, of course, with the Deadpool trilogy. This trilogy just has movies that I just enjoy and love watching. It's high rewatchability for me. So with these movies, I definitely have to probably put them in at least the A tier, because that last movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, was just such a blast and such a fan event type of experience at theaters that I just had such an amazing time with, an awesome time with, and just seeing everything that came out in the movie. And the other two first Deadpool movies are amazing and awesome, just a lot of fun, and I just rewatch them ever so often because I just enjoy them so much. But we'll get into the Wolverine trilogy now with X-Men Origins, the Wolverine, and Logan, of course. Logan is at the top of that list, to where it's an amazing masterpiece full of a movie that I will put in by itself into an S tier. But when it comes to the other two movies, X-Men Origins is definitely a bad movie, to where it's not great, but on the other hand, I can get a little entertainment out of it, to where I could be able to watch that movie and not be bored with it, to where I get a little something from that movie. But I do acknowledge that it is not a great movie at all. But when it comes to the Wolverine, this was sort of the prototype to Logan, to where we get James Mangold being able to kind of push the limits of a PG-13 rating and be able to give us those aspects and different things to where he's able to do a Logan type movie. So although I will say that the Wolverine, I don't rewatch a whole lot of times, and it's not necessarily like high tier for me, it's still a pretty solid movie when it comes down to it. So with all that being said, oh man, this one's a hard one, because this trilogy has just such an amazing masterpiece of a movie. You got the middle of the tier movie, and then you got a movie that's all the way at the bottom tier almost for me. I might have to put this one into the B tier for now. It's just hard to tell. Like it's because these three movies in this trilogy are just so on different spectrums of the tiers that it's just hard to judge this properly. So at least for now, I just got to put it into the B tier for now, just going off the all three movies. And we'll get into the X-Men trilogy with the first three movies that came out in the 2000s. When it comes to these movies, I enjoy these movies a lot. That third one is definitely a hard watch. It's a watchable movie, and I could still get a little entertainment out of it, but it's not a great X-Men movie. That second movie, X2, I absolutely love. I think it's one of the better comic book movies out there, and I just enjoy that movie so much that where I could rewatch it a lot. The first movie, a lot of people are kind of hating on it right now recently, and I understand why. It's a bit dated, but I have a sense of nostalgia with that movie, to where it was one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters, to where I could watch that movie still to this day and just still get a kick out of it with nostalgia and be able to enjoy that movie and all that. It definitely is a rough a little bit around the edges when it comes to like effects and things like that, but still a great movie in my opinion. I could still be able to watch that movie. So when it comes down to it, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and put these movies into the B tier. These are great movies overall, except for that third one, of course. But I still enjoy these movies. Getting into the Blade trilogy, of course, because of course we got the cameo of Blade in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So I went to include the Blade trilogy, and I love this trilogy. I really do. It's one of the, I remember the first Blade movie, one being one of the first Marvel movies I ever saw, one of the first rated R movies I ever saw, and it's probably one of my most favorite vampire movies out there. Blade 2 definitely was a great movie. I definitely say it's a little better than the first one, but I still enjoy those first two. Now I know the third one is definitely a bad movie for some people, but to be honest, that I saw that when I was younger, and upon watching that when I was younger, I just get that sense of nostalgia a little bit, and I'm able to watch this movie and still have fun with it. Of course, it's not a great movie, but I'm able to have fun with this movie. It's kind of a guilty pleasure for me, to where I could be entertained by this movie. I can be entertained by this movie and watch it and still be able to have fun with it. It's definitely not on the tier of the other two movies before it, but it's still a fun movie to watch. I can still have fun with it and watch it. So with that being said, I think I'm going to have to put these ones into the I might put these ones into the B tier also. Lord of the Rings. Now, this one, without being said, is definitely going to go into the S tier. This is definitely one of the premier best trilogies out there when it comes to movies. I love every single one of the movies. There's not a weak movie in this franchise. Just the way that we're able to get these three movies, sense of adventure going on, the fantasy things that go on in this movie, just watching these movies, like I just enjoy watching these movies. I could rewatch these movies a lot and just not get bored with them, to get entertainment out of them. They're just an amazing trilogy overall. But when it comes to the Hobbit trilogy, that trilogy is very interesting. Like, I know a lot of people do not like this trilogy, but me, on the other hand, I do like this trilogy. For the most part, I do like this trilogy. It's definitely not on par with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so I do recognize that. But with these movies, I could have fun with them. You know, I get entertainment out of them. I'm not bored with them. They're definitely a step down from the Lord of the Rings movies, but I could still have fun with them, and they're still pretty good. You know, there's definitely some things here and there throughout some of the movies that are like, but I can still have fun with these movies. So with that being said, I'll at least put them into the B tier. The Dark Knight trilogy. Now, this trilogy is an amazing, great trilogy. I think I will probably put this one into the S tier because it's definitely an amazing trilogy. That first movie, Batman Begins, is a great origin story. The second movie, where we get the Joker, amazing, one of the best comic book movies out there. The third one is definitely kind of a little bit lower step down from the first two, but I still enjoy the movie. I still think it's a great, amazing movie, despite what people say about it. But I still enjoy that movie. So for me, at least, the Dark Knight trilogy is at least an S tier for me. We get to the Iron Man trilogy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With this one, I enjoy that first one. The first movie is definitely a top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. The second one I do enjoy, despite what people say about it. I still get enjoyment. I still like that second movie. The third one I do not like. I do not like the third one. I don't go back to rewatch that movie at all. So that third movie is not great. But with that being said, you know, this one's kind of one of those other movie trilogies to where it's like all three movies are at different tiers, to where the first movie is definitely a top tier movie. The second one is like a middle tier. The third one is definitely a bottom tier movie for me. When it comes down to it, I think I might have to put the Iron Man trilogy into the C tier, just because some things are, just some things about the movies, But like I said, I do enjoy that first one. I do like the second one. The third one I do not like. And we get to the Captain America trilogy, and these movies are definitely great. The Civil War movie is amazing. I would put that in the top tier, within the top 10 of the MCU. Winter Soldier, I think, is a little overrated. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is a little overrated, to where people are, a lot of people will say that is the best movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I disagree. That's why it's a little overrated for me. It's still an amazing, great movie that I probably would still put in the top 10 of the MCU. When it comes to that first movie, I've grown to like that first movie over time. The more times I watch it, the more and more I kind of grow into liking it, at least. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna have to put this one into at least the B tier, because those last two movies are amazing. I will put those probably in the S tier to high A tier for those first two movies. The first movie I will probably put into like the B tier of the MCU. So we'll go with the B tier for now. Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is a movie trilogy that is amazing, great overall. The first movie is definitely within the top 10 MCU for me. I will probably put the third movie within the top 10 of MCU for me. So those are like pretty much high to S tier movies for me. When it comes to the second one, I think it's the weakest of the trilogy, but it's still a pretty good movie. So with that being said, I'll probably put the Guardians of the Galaxy movie trilogy I'll put it into the A tier, because I think it's definitely one of the better trilogies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'll put it into the A tier. Ant-Man trilogy. When it comes to the Ant-Man trilogy, that first one is definitely, I feel like it's maybe a little underrated, but it's still a pretty great movie. But I'll put it like the mid tier of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When it comes to the other two, the second one is definitely a step down from the first one, but I still kind of like some things from it. And the third one, Quantumania, is I think a little bit above the second movie, but it's not as great as the first movie. But I will put it towards the bottom tier of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So with that being said, this one's kind of a hard one for me too. I might just put this one into the D tier. I kind of want to go C with it, but I can't go C with it just yet. Maybe just the D tier for now. And we have the Back to the Future trilogy. This is an amazing trilogy. I love every single one of these movies that are in the trilogy. For me, some of my favorites of all of the movies out there. These are some of my favorites. This is definitely probably one of my top 10 favorite trilogies of all time. So this one for me definitely has to go into the S tier. We have the Austin Powers trilogy. With these ones, these were fun movies, that go back to once in a while, if I have the urge to watch them, I'll rewatch them and stuff and all that. The third one is probably the weakest for me, but the first two are definitely great. So they're a lot of fun to watch, you know. So when it comes down to it, I'll probably put these ones into. I might put these ones into the C tier for now because they're just, you know, they're fun little movies, but they're not like high tier type of movies. And we have the Terminator trilogy with the first three movies. Those first two movies, amazing. First one, great. Second one, definitely a great movie. I enjoy that movie so much. Third one, definitely a step down from the first two, but I can still kind of watch it. It's at least a watchable movie, but it's definitely not a great movie. But those first two, amazing, great, set the bar for Terminator franchise. So when it comes down to it, I think I will put these ones with those first two being kind of high tier for me, and then the third one kind of being mid tier for me. I might put this one into the B tier overall. We get to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Now I love this Spider-Man trilogy, my favorite out of all the trilogies of Spider-Man. Um, when it comes down to it, I enjoy the first one so much. A great origin story going on. The second one is definitely a amazing movie, one of the best comic book movies out there. The third one, I understand people do not like it, but I saw that movie when I was a little younger. I remember going to theaters, watching that movie, and being able to just have a fun with that movie. You know, it's definitely not great. It's definitely not on par with the other two first movies, but I can still have a great time with that movie and still rewatch it to this day and just overall get some entertainment out of it. So it's definitely not a great movie, but I can still have fun with it. With that being said, I'll probably put the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy within at least I'll put it into the A tier. Now we get the Spider-Man Marvel Cinematic Universe trilogy with Tom Holland. Now, I like the first one, definitely like the first one, but it is a kind of mid-tier Marvel Cinematic Universe movie for me. When it comes to No Way Home, that's definitely a high-tier Marvel Cinematic Universe for me. I put that probably within like the top 10 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's a great movie overall. I do see some of its flaws. You know, looking back on it, I do see some of its flaws. When it comes to the second movie, Far From Home, probably my least favorite in the trilogy. It's not a bad movie by any means, but it's definitely one I don't go back to rewatch a whole lot. I do like the villain of Mysterio in that movie, but I don't know. I don't really like the whole concept of going on a trip to a different country and all that. And I just different things I don't like about that movie, but it's not a bad movie, but I still don't go back to rewatch it a whole lot often. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and put that one into I think I'll put it into the B tier. Star Wars, of course, we got the original trilogy, and that trilogy is going to go into the S tier for me. I love the first movie. I love the second movie. The third one is, if I had to choose a least favorite for the original trilogy, it would be the third one, but the third one is still great and amazing also. So at least for me, it goes into the S tier. When we get the prequel trilogy for Star Wars, those ones I just have a sense of nostalgia with them. I could be able to watch them because they were, you know, I watched them whenever I was younger. They came out whenever I was a young kid. So watching those, I can still have a sense of nostalgia watching those. I do understand some of the flaws that those movies have, and I can see those flaws. But on the other hand, like I said, I just get a sense of nostalgia with those movies. So I could at least put those movies probably within the B tier at least. When it comes to the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, the first movie of Force Awakens is definitely an amazing, great movie. I enjoy that movie so much. When it comes to the other two, The Last Jedi, I'm not as against as some other people. I do understand it's not a great Star Wars movie, but it does have some good things in that movie that I kind of do like, and there's some other things, of course, I don't like about that movie. When it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, I absolutely do not like that movie. I've seen it like twice ever since, and I still cannot get over some of the things they did in that movie. I do not enjoy it as much, really, and I don't really go back to rewatch it, you know. So with that being said, for this trilogy, I might have to put this one into the C tier because it's just not a great trilogy overall. When it comes to overall, there's only one great movie in that trilogy, and the other two are eh. Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, when it comes to this trilogy, I enjoy this trilogy so much. They have a lot of great things going on. Some of the effects still hold up to this day, especially when it comes to like those second and the third movie. They have a lot of great effects going on. The use of practicality and the use of special effects and CGI going on is definitely amazing and great what they're able to do. You got Johnny Depp playing the character Jack Sparrow to where he's a highlight of the movie. You got other great cast of characters going on. Just the sense of adventure that you get with this whole trilogy. And I just enjoy this trilogy. so much. You know, the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy is an amazing trilogy. I think it's great overall. So with that being said, I'm going to have to put this one into the A tier. And we got the Alien trilogy. That I know there's definitely some other Alien movies out there that, you know, of course, that probably wouldn't be considered a trilogy, but I at least wanted to include this one because we do have Alien Romulus coming out pretty soon. So as far as the Alien trilogy, to where it's the first three movies, to where it could have ended the Alien franchise. The first two are amazing. That first one, great sense of horror going on in that first one. The way that the second one is able to blend a little bit of horror and go into the action side of, like, you know, an aspect of action going on with James Cameron directing that movie. They did such an amazing job on those first two movies. The third one is a little frustrating. It's a watchable movie. I could be able to watch it, but it's definitely a frustrating movie to where the first couple minutes they're able, basically, like, not retcon, but they just destroy what they did in the second movie, and that just always rubs people the wrong way. But when it comes to the third movie, it is definitely the weakest of the trilogy, but I could at least watch it. It's at least a watchable movie for me, to where I could watch it. You know, that's what I'm saying. I could watch that third movie, but it's definitely a step down from the other ones. It's definitely the weakest within that trilogy. So with that being said, at least the first two are amazing and great. I will probably put this one into the B tier just because of the third movie brings it down some. And we get to the Matrix trilogy. I know there's a fourth movie in the Matrix, but like with this Matrix trilogy, this could have ended the franchise, and the fourth movie wasn't made until like many, many, many years later. So I consider those first three. When it comes down to the Matrix, the first movie, I think that's an amazing, great, top tier type of movie. I enjoy that movie. It's definitely my favorite within the franchise. When it comes to the other two movies in the trilogy, I don't really like those. I gotta be honest. I don't really like the other two movies in the Matrix trilogy. Like, I remember rewatching them. Like, I watched them for the first time whenever they came out, and I never went back to rewatch them until the fourth Matrix movie came out. So I rewatched the whole trilogy in the franchise in preparation for the newest Matrix movie. So that was basically like my second time watching those movies again whenever the fourth Matrix movie came out. And going back to rewatch those movies, I still did not enjoy the second one or the third one. They're not bad movies by any means, but it's just hard to get into them. You know, I don't really gravitate towards them like I do with the first movie. So with that being said, I gotta put this movie trilogy, the Matrix trilogy, within the. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go put C tier. I'm gonna go C tier. I know it might seem a little low, but like I said, I cannot get into those second and third movies as much as I get into the first one. So for me, at least, it's gonna go C tier for now. And we got the Toy Story trilogy. Of course, there was a fourth movie, but I don't really count it when it goes to this one, because the trilogy with the third movie, that could have ended the franchise overall. So when it comes to the Toy Story trilogy, this is definitely an S tier trilogy for me. I have a sense of nostalgia when I watch these movies. I enjoy these movies so much. Definitely some of my favorite Disney and Pixar movies out there. And just the way that third movie was able to capture everything within the franchise and be able to basically, in a sense, end the trilogy off on a great note, to where it's like it made you emotional, it was heartfelt, and everything like that. The first and second movies are amazing and great also, to where basically in this franchise you have a sense to where if you were at that age, that to where, or at least around the same age that Andy was, to where you're able to grow up with the character of Andy, you're able to grow up with this franchise. And that was kind of the sense for me, to where I remember watching that first movie to where I was a young kid, and that second one came out a couple years later to where I was still a young kid. Then we finally get the third movie back when I was in high school, and then you see Andy, the character of Andy is graduating high school, he's about to go off to college, and just having that sense of, you know, he has to give up his toys and all that stuff. And so it hits you hard when you're in that age range of growing up with these movies. It hits you harder, and you're able to feel that. So this is a great overall amazing trilogy. That's why I put into the S tier. And we get to Planet of the Apes. This is the newest most recent Planet of the Apes trilogy. Where do we have to where we have the Rise, Dawn, and War of the Planet of the Apes. For me, this is going to go in S tier. This is a great trilogy of movies, Planet of the Apes trilogy. I feel like this is one of those trilogies to where it's not talked about enough. It's definitely underrated for me. And whenever people bring up to like what are some of the best movie trilogies out there, I never really hear this one be brought up. And I think that's crazy to me, because I just enjoy these movies so much. They're great, amazing movies. All three of them are amazing and great movies. So this one goes into the S tier for me, and I do believe it's like an underrated trilogy that doesn't get brought up enough. And we get to the East Rail 177, or as some people call it, the Unbreakable trilogy, to where it consists of Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. Now, I most recently saw this trilogy for the first time in preparation for the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie, Trap, to where it's like I wanted to do a ranking video, which will be coming out pretty soon, or if it is already out at this time. So when I watched these movies for the first time recently, I was definitely interested and curious and see what these movies were about. The Unbreakable movie, the first movie, is amazing. It's great. We get a great character study of like Bruce Willis' character and Samuel L. Jackson's character in the movie. The way that we had Split become this surprise sort of sequel to continue on from Unbreakable, to where we find out at the very end that the twist is that this is sort of a sequel to Unbreakable, and we get that great twist. I thought it was a great twist. Split is one of M. Night Shyamalan's better movies. The way that James McAvoy puts on his performance in there is amazing. What he's able to do. I'll say when it comes to Glass, I'm not against it as much as other people are. It's definitely a step down from the first two previous movies, but I do actually like the twist that went on in that movie, to where we find out towards the end what the whole twist is with this first two movies, and the way that we're able to have that twist in there is actually pretty interesting and intriguing to me. But like I said, this movie is definitely a step down from the first two previous ones. So with that being said, I think the first two are great. The second one and the third one is solid enough for me. So I will probably put this one I'll probably put this one into like the B tier probably. And we get to the Men in Black trilogy. Now this trilogy I actually rewatched most recently, probably about 2 weeks ago or so. And I just had this urge to rewatch it. They popped up on TV and I was like, I haven't seen Men in Black in a while. Let me go through the trilogy. I always enjoyed that trilogy. I enjoyed those movies. I watched those movies when growing up, and then the third one came out many years later, to where I think it's a great solid addition to the whole Men in Black franchise. And I just enjoy these movies. They're great. They're fun. You get to deal with aliens. This team up between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones is great in the movie. And I just enjoy these movies. I get a lot of entertainment out of them. They have fun with them. A couple of things here and there. Of course, they're not necessarily great movies, but they are definitely solid, good, fun movies. And I just enjoy watching them. So with that being said, I'll probably put these ones in at least the B tier. The Chronicles of Narnia trilogy, where we got The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. When it comes to these two, I remember watching those first two in theaters, and I really enjoyed what they did with those first two. They just have a great scope of things going on, where we have this fantasy realm of Narnia going on, and just great stories being told overall. I really enjoyed those first two movies. When it comes to the third movie, it's definitely the weakest of the franchise, and I do not enjoy that movie none whatsoever. I don't enjoy that movie. I don't go back to rewatch it like the first two. I really do not enjoy that movie at all, and it's definitely the weakest one. It's definitely not as good as the first two, and I just don't enjoy that movie. So that definitely brings it down a bit for me. So with that being said, the first two are great. I will probably put the first two within like maybe the A tier by themselves. But when it comes to that other one, it definitely brings it down a lot, because I just don't like that movie so much. I kind of want to go B tier with this one, but that last movie just brings it down so much. So I might go C tier. For this one. And we have the Rush Hour trilogy. I love the Rush Hour movies. We got the great team up between Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker going on in these movies. They're a funny pairing. They are awesome and amazing to see on screen. Just a lot of fun with these movies. I like these movies. I really do. I like all three of them. They're amazing. They're awesome. They're a lot of fun to watch. Entertaining as hell. And just overall, just great movies going on. I will probably put this one into the A tier. I think I'm gonna go A tier with this one. They're definitely not great movies compared to like some other movies on this list, but they are definitely a lot of fun to watch. So I'll probably put this one into at least the A tier. And we have the Friday trilogy with Friday, Next Friday, and Friday After Next. Now, when it comes to those first two movies, I rewatch those ones not a lot, but I do go back to rewatch them ever so often. I gotta rewatch the third one because I haven't seen it in such a long time. I remember watching it like whenever it first came out, but I don't think I ever gone back to rewatch it. Not to say that's a bad movie just because I don't go back. I just haven't really been able to go back and rewatch it. So that definitely calls for a rewatch. But I remember it. Like I remember not hating that movie. I think it was a lot of fun and all that. But I just haven't seen it so long. I won't say I properly rate it as much, but I do remember that it wasn't bad or anything like that. But I do love the first two movies when it comes to the Friday trilogy. They are a lot of great movies. Those first two are a lot of fun to watch. Where they're kind of set in this almost one location type of vibe to where it's like set in the neighborhood and all that. So they're a lot of fun. You know, I do enjoy the Friday trilogy. With that being said, I think I'll put this one into at least the B tier for now. And we get to the last trilogy on our list, and that is going to be the Creed trilogy. And with this trilogy, I enjoy this trilogy a lot. A lot of great things going on in these three movies. The way they're able to build upon the legacy of Rocky and can be a sort of continuation, but going to a different direction with a new character, with having Rocky as, you know, the side character in a way in these movies. They do a lot of great things with these movies. The way that they have the boxing matches in there that just pumps you up whenever you're watching. Great, amazing movies. I think all three of them are solid to great movies in the franchise, and I just enjoy this franchise overall. Like every time they have a new movie of Creed, I'm there in theaters. I'm watching it as soon as it comes out theaters. So I do enjoy this trilogy a lot. There's definitely some things that kind of hold it back just a little bit. Just a couple things here and there that hold it back from being an S tier. But I would definitely go at least an A tier movie trilogy for me. But definitely let me know down in the comments below, how would you rank some of these trilogies, or is there any other trilogies that I forgot? There's definitely some other trilogies that I could put on the list, but it's either I just didn't feel like putting them on the list, or I haven't seen those trilogies. That's probably some of the reasons why I didn't put them on here. But if there's some trilogies I missed out on that you want to put on the list, definitely let me know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it all for this video. Hopefully y'all all enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you on the next one.